All right, so this is the screen your driver should see every day. So again, the activation is a single-time thing, unless the device gets wiped or something. Obviously, when you do a reinstall, you'll have to reactivate. But for the most part, this is where your drivers are going to live, right here on the login screen. So we're going to log in, and our center value is going to be Tankersley. And I should point out that these are scannable fields. So are you guys using like a TC75 with a built-in scanner?
Yes.
Okay. So you can create barcodes for these values and just scan them in directly if that makes it easier for you to enter the data. Okay, and for driver ID, I have 119. All right, so once that driver ID is entered, we'll hit login here. All right, you can see our driver's name is Zach Lewis. ID is 119. All right, so we're going to request a route and select our vehicle. So when we go live, you'll see all of your vehicles here. I have to assign a vehicle to a device, and I don't have all your devices in the environment yet because you haven't activated them all. Once we do, I'll get those all assigned. Now, it really doesn't matter, and in fact, I have an enhancement request with our product team to skip this vehicle selection since you guys already pre-assign your vehicles to your drivers through WinRoute. So for now, as you start the rollout and as you get testing here, just select any vehicle there. It doesn't really matter. It only impacts the food reform reporting and really in very small ways. So we'll hit done there on the vehicle, and it's going to pull a route down. Okay, so I get the message that a new route has been received. I'll click OK there. And you can see we have route 408, so that's a route for Thursday, route number 8. We'll click on that, and now here's our list of stops. So you can see in the list here on the left, all of these stops are pending. Nothing has been serviced yet. You can go all the way down. And you'll note we have a final depot here at the bottom, and we have a start depot at the top. So you're always going to start and end at the depot. If you want to see additional detail about the stops, you can click on the stop icon here, and it will create this checkbox. And then you can go to details here in the bottom in the menu, and that'll show you more information about the stop. So here's the address for the stop, and I should be able to click on this and launch myself into whatever Maps application you're going to use. See, I have Google Maps here. I have Project Navigation I can use as well. We'll just click away from that since we're not going to use the nav right now. You can see a summary of the purposes. So you have 29 dry items and 3 pickups, and then a summary of the jobs associated with those purposes. So I looked at this route a little bit earlier, and you have one order here, this 265 order with 29 dry items, and then these individual orders that are 3 pickups. I can click on the item list here, and it'll show me the item detail for this specific stop. And you can see here on the right side here, you have dry, pickup. You have all these different purposes associated with each item. You can see the barcode and the description for each item. So the drivers can go in and see kind of a summary of what they have on each stop. Okay, and to back out of any of these screens, I just click the little arrow here at the top. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start our day. And you can either do that with a swipe from right to left, or you can click Start Trip at the bottom here. So this is just a check for the driver. Did they do their pre-trip inspection report? You can click Yes. Okay, and we're going to swipe. We're going to go en route to our depot, arrive at our depot, and complete our depot. So basically, this is the driver prepping to begin his day. He's going to enter the odometer value. Sorry, was there a question?
You're swiping from right to left, right?
Yes, sir.
And then clicking en route and arrive. I got you.
Mm-hmm. So the driver will enter his odometer value. Does the driver have a helper, yes or no? This is just a simple reporting thing that shows up in Food Reform. Okay, so this is where they stay on the screen. They finish the rest of their beginning of day activities and they're ready to leave. They're going to click on Depart here in the bottom. And now they're on their route proper. So this guy's first stop is Broadway Joe's Cafe. So again, we're going to do the swipe. And we can either miss the stop or go en route. So let's miss this one just to show you guys what it looks like. And it prompts you, are you sure you want to miss the stop? You hit yes. and then you give a reason why. So let's say that the business was closed. We'll check the box there. The driver can add a note associated with that. So we might say, no answer. It's not working. So let's do it. No answer at door. Okay. So we've added our note. We've selected our reason code, business closed, and we hit done. So that one's missed, and it's going to miss the entire stop. It's going to mark those as exceptions. So we're going to go on with this stop. We're actually going to service this one. So again, I'm going to swipe from right to left. I'm going to go en route to the stop. And then again, you can see this one has a skip icon here. And basically what that means is the driver is going to skip that and come back to it later. So maybe he went en route to it by mistake, or he's en route to the stop already, and someone from the trans team called the driver on the road and said, no, go to Marble City Schools next instead. So he can skip it and then revisit it later. But for this stop, we're just going to go ahead and arrive. And I'm just going to be entering odometer values of 1 in all of these fields just to avoid confusion. This is configured based on what you guys originally told us that you wanted, but this functionality can be disabled if it's an annoyance.
Yeah, can we disable it?
Okay, so disable the odometers?
Yeah, I mean, that's just an extra step for the drivers that we really don't need.
Okay, no problem. All right, so we're in that value. So now we're in the stop proper here. Let me get this icon right here. So we have 5 dry items on here. So at this point, I can service these items in several different ways. One, I can scan, which I won't do because I'm using my cell phone as the demo. But one, you could press the scan button and scan the barcodes on the box, and it would scan the items off as you do so, and the total number of pending would decrement. 2, you can swipe from left to right, and that's going to service the item completely off the stop. It's considered complete and delivered. Or you can swipe from right to left. And when you swipe from right to left, you have the option to either close it or complete it. Now, you would close it usually because the item is defective, damaged, the customer doesn't want. So let's go ahead and close one here. You can see we have all these different reason codes. Missing cartons is a common one, like the packer didn't pack it on the truck. Or maybe he packed it on the truck, but he packed it in, it's buried in the back somewhere and the driver can't find it. So we'll mark this one as missing. We can add a note. We can say, cannot find. We'll hit done here. We can add a photo associated with it. So if it's damaged product, I can click on the photo here, and it'll bring up the camera on the device, and then I can take a picture, and that will get uploaded to the server at the end of the day, and you can go in the proof of service report and food perform and view the photo associated with that. Okay? So we'll just hit done here on this one. And then we'll service the remaining items off the stop. So let's complete this.
Complete it, like you said, you're swiping it to the right to complete that, and will it be done like it was scanned? Manually entering the product instead of scanning the product.
Yes, this is a manual. This is a manual service, correct? So there's like scanning metrics that you can view in the web, and you can grade your drivers based on how much scanning they do.
Okay, because I we basically want to know if they're scanning or manually doing it. So we'll get a report to tell us that.
Yes, there's reporting that will show you whether or not they're scanned, all the way down to the item level on the proof of service. All right, let's service this final item here. Okay, I have nothing left to service. If I click on the item count here, it's just going to show me a summary. And I can actually service from this screen. So once we have your dry, frozen, cooler all set up here, you would see those separated into separate quantities. And you can scan from this screen. So if a driver has a 1,000-case delivery, it might be more effective for him to view what's left. I know some drivers like to see how many cases they have to deliver. They don't really care what the item detail is. As long as the scanning works, they can scan, 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 scan. And this screen will actually show them, what they've serviced so far, and they can do a case count that way.
Okay.
All right, we'll go back out of this item count here and then hit done to complete the stop.
And it will let them know how many cases they have left to scan, correct?
That's correct, yes. That item list screen will show that. All right, so this is the screen where you take your payment. So we're going to add a payment here, and we're going to say this is for a job on the stop, which means a delivery on the stop. Now, you can also take additional payments you can take for the entire stop or for a job not on the stop. So if you say, while you're at this customer, pick up a payment for last week's delivery, you can do that.
Okay.
But we'll leave it a job on stop for now.
So job on stop is today's delivery.
That's correct.
Job not on stop is if they're paying for last week's delivery or anything that's not today.
That's correct.
So what's the entire stop?
The entire stop is if you have a stop with several different orders on it. It looks like in the most cases you guys send one order with the delivery items and then multiple orders with the pickups. So I think you're really only ever going to see job on stop.
No, we do what we call a memo code, where we'll have multiple invoices on the same drop. That'll be separate invoices.
Okay. Well, in that case, you can use entire stop.
Is it the same
And really
thing?
all this... Go ahead.
Is it the same thing as job on stop? The entire stop?
It applies the payments to the entire stop. So you'll see the total due change depending on how many jobs are on how many deliveries or orders are on the route or on the stop itself. So the entire stop basically says I'm taking one payment for every order on the stop, and job on stop says break it down by individual orders.
Okay. And we can add payments to that job on stop, right? We can just keep adding if we have multiple invoices?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you can also take multiple payment methods. So let me show you that now. So let's say I'm going to take, actually to do that you have to do it from the job level. So I'm going to take a cash payment for this job of $50. I'm going to apply it. So I'm back here on the summary screen. You can see now I have 114 due. So I'm going to add another payment of a check for 114 and check number 1234. And then hit done. So now you can see the breakdown of the payments applied.
Okay.
Then we can go in and say, well, I'm going to pick up your invoice from last week. So we'll say job not on stop. And so usually you would give the driver the invoice number of something that you're picking up for, or maybe they have the PO number from last week. Whatever your driver wants to put in here to associate the payment he's taking with the previous job. So we're just going to enter a dummy job value here and then select
Second, right there. Will that take like commas or spaces or dashes, or they could like enter the invoice numbers that they're getting a check for?
They can enter anything that the keyboard will take.
That's what you're saying. Can you add multiple invoices on that, right?
Like if they're taking a check for 3 invoices, can they do invoice number, space, the next invoice number, space, the next invoice number?
Yeah.
They sure can.
Okay.
Just like this.
That's what they put on the manifest right now, isn't it, Ken?
Yes. Yes.
That
Isn't ROA the invoice number and the amount? So is there a way to put the amount for which invoice that goes to, invoice number?
What? In that case, I would suggest doing multiple job not on stops if you want to do invoice and amount for each one. If you want to take a total payment for all 3 invoices, then I would do it in this way with the commas or the spaces.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see here now on the summary screen, I've taken my normal payment plus my additional payment. We'll hit done here. This is the final payments review screen. I can still go back. You see the review here. I can go back and see what I delivered, what I didn't deliver. Hit done here. This gives you a summary right before you take the signature. So it's at this point in the process that if the customer is going to back you out for anything, you have to back it out. So if the customer says, oh, no, I don't want, some item you already delivered. I don't want this item. This is your last chance to back it up and correct it. Once your customer signs for the product at this spot, that's it. It goes down to the server, and you'll have to generate a new invoice or a pickup.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys aren't doing pallets, but there's a summary here for that, and measure if you have any measures associated, which are basically catch weights. You're mainly going to work on the item screen. So we're going to sign and hit done. I should point out that you can also associate a note with this signature. So if it's a key drop or something and you want your drivers to leave a note saying, you know, what they did with the key, or you know, customer refused to sign, or took an extra 20 minutes because the customer, you know, you were waiting for the customer to sign, this is where you add the note.
Okay.
Done there. So it's always going to default to this no name unknown. You can add any contact you want. You just hit add contact here and then type the name. We'll say David, Nick, and hit done. And then depart. Now that contact screen there, it will save up to 5 of the contacts that are associated with the stop, the 5 most recently used ones. So as as you make deliveries to the stop and different customer contacts sign for that product, it will build that list out for you, and then you'll be able to select them. So I find that most of our customers have 2 or 3 contacts that always sign for product, right? So you have that list there built out for you, and you can just select it, and you don't have to worry about entering it each time.
So that's so we know who the signature was supposed to have been from, because we probably can't read it real well. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we're going to depart the stop here. And that one's done. You can see here in the bottom I have a summary of my stops done and missed. And I can filter down. So right now I'm just filtering and showing all pending stops. If I click this menu here, I can filter down from stop filter and see all stops, what I've just completed, incomplete stops. So let's look at complete stops. So you can see here, here's the one we just serviced. Here's the one we missed. And here's the start detail. Now I can just go back and change my filter to show all pending again. If you need to collect a payment that's not associated with a stop, like maybe there's a customer on the route that you want to go to because it's, on the way and you need to collect a payment. This is the same as taking an ad hoc payment associated with the stop, but you're basically creating your own stop. And if it's on the way, the customer information will populate for you and you can assign a job. Or if, your driver is making a delivery in the morning and the person there isn't the one that cuts the checks, and he says, well, come back at 3 o'clock and take a payment later, he can go back at 3 o'clock and add a payment in this way. Okay? And that interface is the same as what we saw before, so I won't go into the detail with that, but I did want to point it out.
Okay.
So where was that at on this main screen?
That's in that 3-dot menu.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
All right. We're already en route. There we go. All right, moving on. Arrive. We're going to disable this odometer, so we'll just get through that. All right, so we have a pickup item on this stop. So when you guys do a pickup item, you're going to complete it. You can scan the barcode if it's available. But I wanted to point the pickups out because at the end of the day, we have the reconcile enabled. So the driver's going to be asked to key in or scan a barcode for everything that he's reconciling, everything he's bringing back as a pickup.
Okay. Is this going to tell us where is it going to say we're going to have a pickup on that stop? Will it tell us it, or is it going to be mixed in with the rest of the product?
Well, right now it's going to be mixed in. It's based on a default list order.
Yeah.
I think we can do it by purpose. So if you want to do all of the pickups like last, I think we can have it filtered down to not display them. One thing the drivers have control of is they're able to do that themselves by clicking on the menu and doing the stop. There should be a stop filter. they click on the blue bar here. That's where it is. So you click on the blue bar in the status here, and you can change that to pickups, so they can see all the pickups associated. We should be able to turn on guide by purpose, so I'll take a look at that. I'll take a note here for that. Okay. No, I don't. I want to hit done here. Okay. So we have all these pending items. Just for purposes of speed, I'm going to select them all. And then I'm going to hit action, complete. And then done. So here's a summary of all of your different jobs on this stop. So this is an example of one that has multiple orders. So we're going to add a payment. And here it defaults to entire stop because there's multiple jobs. But I can select individual job on stop here. So if there's something like, oh, well, I'm going to pay for this invoice but not this invoice, you could do a job on stop that way.
Okay.
So say I'm going to pay for this one. This is the total due on that invoice. And I'm going to take a cash payment, $55.23. And done. And you're still $531.27 due. Let's say maybe he says, well, I can't pay that right now. Okay. In that case, when we go from the payment screen and we don't add additional payments, we hit done here. It's going to say, do you want to apply credit to the remaining payments? And that's a little bit of a misnomer. What it basically means is, are you going to allow the stop to complete without taking the full payment? Okay. And that will be reflected in the event data that comes back to Food Perform and also in the reporting in Food Perform. So you can pull a payment report and see, basically what payments the driver took associated with which stop. We'll hit done here, apply credit, yes, and hit done. You can see the expected and actuals here, dry and pickup. And we'll sign and hit done. And I'm just going to hit done through the contact and then depart. So let's start this one, route, and arrive. So as the driver services these items, when he completes an item with a catch weight, it should be prompting us to enter a catch weight value. So I did notice that this sirloin didn't have a catch weight value. So service that, complete. There we go. So this is what a catch weight screen looks like. So there's a default value that you guys provide. I'm guessing it comes from when you load the vehicle. Kevin is sending us this to us from the AS400 data. If you need to change the value, you just simply key a new value. There are min and maxes defined, so like I can't say that this thing is 90 pounds, right? If I do, it's going to say the catch weight value is way too high. It's outside the range. It can go from $8.02 to $13.37. Let me say this one is 10. Okay. You said the brisket as well?
Yeah, I believe.
This brisket is a pickup. We do have catch weights enabled for your pickups. So your drivers, when they do pickups, they'll be able to enter catch weight values as well.
I do have a question for you. This application is what is actually sending in the tracking data for the driver so that we know where he's at, correct?
Yes, the GPS data is sent back along with the order.
Okay. Well, that's a little different than what our old system would do. That was another piece that did that. So when he selects the stop and says en route, then that tells Food Perform that we log in and look at that he is on his way there. If he doesn't say en route and he waits till he arrives at the stop and then does en route and arrive at the same time, it still looks like he's at the previous stop as far as we know. We're not seeing live. There's no in-between pings or nothing like that. That's correct. Yeah, that's a good point, Casey. So when you train your drivers, train them to depart their location at the correct time and then go en route to the next stop. Or if he's going to take a break, have him take his lunch break and then wait and then go en route, because you're going to see that live data come back through Food Perform to on demand. Okay, and that's how it uses to calculate the ETA to all future stops as well. That's correct. So if they're not doing it at the right sequence, then it could throw off all the estimated times for the rest of the route.
That's correct.
Okay.
These credits here. Done. Okay, I'm not going to service these remaining stops unless there's something else you guys wanted to see as far as deliveries. I'm just going to move on to the reconcile. Do you have any other questions about delivering?
No.
Okay, great. All right, so I have all these pending stops here. I'm just going to skip down to the final depot here at the bottom. We're just going to swipe on that. And what's going to happen when I try and go en route to it is it's going to prompt me about the remaining stops. I'm going to say yes, I'm going to miss them. This is useful like if the driver runs out of time or if his truck breaks down. So it ran out of time, done. And everything is complete except for the final depot. So now that we're en route to our final depot, we're driving back and we're going to arrive at the depot. And depending on how big the route is, this can take up to 90 seconds to complete. And once this is done, we're done. The driver's done for the day. He's going to be on the same login screen. He's ready to request a fresh route. Now, if you're assigning devices to drivers directly and they're responsible for their own device, then the driver is already logged in. He's ready to request his route for the next day after it's been assigned. If drivers turn their handhelds in at the end of the day, he's going to want to log out. He's going to want to click the log out button here at the bottom. And now it's ready for the next day, for the next driver to pick up the device and use it.
I do have a quick question. On the login, the sensor you said was tankishly, and then there's a driver ID, so there is no passwords or nothing like that, right?
There is not.